Welcome back to the video series. On the last video, we spoke about autoimmunity. We spoke about some of the differences in the more traditional treatment of autoimmunity, how they really focus more on just the symptoms and not the cause of the autoimmunity. I try to make it clear that autoimmunity is typically not going to be just one tissue. In the average adult, they're going to develop 3, 4 different autoimmune conditions, because the treatment model isn't geared towards getting to the root cause of what's driving their immune system, how to regulate and balance their immune system. Now, I'm not saying that's easy, but I'm just saying that I can have 3 different people with rheumatoid arthritis. They all have an autoimmunity, rheumatoid arthritis. But each person, for so many variations, genetic issues, lifestyle issues, compliance issues, there's so many variations that they all can have different responses. And so the best goal is just to always meet people where they're at, try to focus on the priorities and see how they respond to certain things, and be flexible enough to have enough adaptability to just kind of keep steering the ship a little bit and get them on the right course and give them the tools to work with so that they can kind of control this. There's one thing I need to make clear, is that if you have been diagnosed with an autoimmune condition, that you have to understand that there is no cure for autoimmunity. The real goal is to calm down the immune response, an aggressive immune response. If the immune system is aggressive, there's going to be a lot of tissue destruction. I'll give you just a personal example. My mom, some years back, she's passed away now, but years back, literally she woke up and was in what's called a thyroid storm. Meaning she woke up and her autoimmune thyroid had just turned on aggressively and was destroying her thyroid so quickly that it was dumping a lot of the thyroid hormones, T3s, into her circulation, which was causing her heart to pound out of her chest. And it was just like, right? And so she had to get rushed into the hospital, and they had to radiate her thyroid and kill it, okay, which was appropriate because without that, she ran the risk of having a heart attack, okay? And then she has to now move on and take the medications and all that kind of stuff. So autoimmunity can kind of ebb and flow with degrees of severities and stuff. So you have to have enough flexibility to just be able to kind of steer the ship a little bit. Understand that there's going to be some times of flare-ups and not, but when you come in with certain botanicals and nutrients to mitigate those things. So the one thing I wanted to at least I guess maybe in this segment of the video is say, how does this really happen? How do we get these things? So let me begin by saying to you, like, what we have is we have a barrier system, okay? You think about your skin is a barrier to the outside world. And if you had a cut on your arm, you clean it, you put a bandage over it, and then if we could say you take the bandage off, and if you see the skin is healing over, you feel, okay, it's good. You put the bandage on there, why? Because you don't want an infection. You don't want something getting in. Well, we also have an internal barrier system. So your sinus cavity, your bronchioles, your lungs, your entire GI tract, and your bladder is a hollow cavity, right? So it always sounds strange when I say to patients, when we eat food and you drink fluids and breathe in air, and it goes into the cavity, it's not actually in you yet. People are like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Well, it's in the cavity. It's not actually in you until it passes through the lining of that cavity and gets into circulation. So that is known as your mucosal barrier. And there's a lot of specialized immune cells in there that are checking everything that comes into the environment. Is it friendly or is it foe? We want to let the good things pass through, like the nutrients, and we want to keep the infective agents out, and we want to keep the environmental chemicals out, and the pollutants out, right? And even what we call undigested proteins, we want them out. We don't want them undigested proteins getting into circulation. So the best analogy is like it's very complex, but I mean, the best analogy is like the screen on a window, right? The screen, if it's warm night, you open the window, the screen is there, lets the air come in and keeps the bugs out. But what would happen is if I started poking some holes in that screen, and if it's a hot, muggy day, right, the mosquitoes are going to show up, and they're going to be able to penetrate through. And before you know it, I'm scratching and biting myself, right? Well, I'm bit up by mosquitoes, right? So if our barrier system begins to breach, permeates, in the gut, they refer to that as leaky gut. It's really intestinal permeability, but the term leaky gut means the barrier system is breaching, breaking, and it's allowing for passage of everything from endotoxins to bacteria to metals to environmental pollutants to move into circulation. And as it moves through circulation, right, at some point it's going to start binding to different tissues. And that's how the protein structure of that organ or tissue is now changed because these chemicals are bound to it that have been able to permeate through. And at some point, the immune system sees that. That tissue looks different. So really the entry point of autoimmunity is through a breakdown in these various systems. Okay, so I hope that gives you a little bit of working understanding about how people develop autoimmunities. I should say before I end this part of the video is you know, what are the factors that really contribute to that barrier system breaking down? Well, they're numerous. They're numerous. But if I can say one thing that really is like at the top of the list, right? It's stress. Stress. Right? When we have stress, we upregulate a stress hormone in the body. Our adrenal glands pump out cortisol. Now we need cortisol. You know, cortisol is important. I mean, there's a lot of important things, but we need it in the right amounts at the right time. But when we have chronic stress going on and on and on, is we're going to pump out a lot of cortisol. And one of the things cortisol is going to do is that it's going to beat down on this immune barrier system, and it's going to contribute to this gut permeability. So if you don't get a handle on stress, right, is we're never going to have a good, easy time trying to mend this. But the point is, just, you know, even if we do things to get the barrier system back in breach, if the stuff has already come in, it's already come in. And if the immune system is already reacting to what's come in, it's already reacting. So again, you know, a lot of people talk about fixing leaky gut, but that's not enough because the inflammatory response that the immune system is dropping is already going. So we got to do both. We got to regulate the immune system, but we also got to fix the leaky gut so we don't keep bringing more stuff in. Okay? So on the next video, we're going to talk a little bit about this balancing of the immune system. I think it's really important. And then we're going to lead into some other actionable steps. We'll see you on the next video.